Here we are, Retail Wrap 47. The topics today are wrapping up the JobKeeper, vertical shopping, Easter Bunny, and a tribute to the Pie King Villamos. Let's get straight into it. JobKeeper, Job Seeker is set to finish right now. So throughout this program, a number of retailers who were forced to close their doors during various lockdowns around the country were able to claim the subsidy. Many retail brands have actually reported massive profit boosts during this period. Super Retail Group, Domino's, and Nick Scali have returned the JobKeeper payments. But others, like Premier Investments, who own brands like Peter Alexander, Just Jeans, and Smiggle, as well as other retailer groups, Kathmandu and Harvey Norman, have chosen not to pay back the JobKeeper payments. Harvey Norman received $22 million in wage subsidies despite a 26% increase in sales for a $5.12 billion in sales last year. Instead, Jerry Harvey says he'll repay JobKeeper through higher taxes. Hang on, aren't we all paying taxes? Anyway, despite paying $300 million to dividends to his investors, and $100 million of that he got. Premier Investments has received $15.6 million net benefit in JobKeeper subsidies for its 6,500 employees in the first half of this year, despite the EBIT being $237.8 million, a huge 88.5% increase on the same time last year. This is on top of rent concessions and new rental agreement savings that Premier was able to negotiate. So JobKeeper and JobSeeker was set out to help businesses that have needed the help during the pandemic. There's no doubt that some businesses might have got sales and had no profit, and this has helped them get through. But there's also, as in Harvey Norman, businesses that have had record sales and record profit. These businesses really need to have a look at what they're doing. And let's face it, a $300 million dividend to shareholders, where Jerry, you got $100 million of that. Do you really think that you should be paying back your JobKeeper, JobSeeker? Hell yeah, just think about it. Like, you're gonna pay it back in time during taxes? I hate to alarm you, Jerry. We all pay taxes here in Australia. I actually can't believe that we're talking about should we pay back money from profiteering over that period when a lot of businesses are in hardship. I understand the JobKeeper and JobSeeker was put out there to help businesses get through. And like my business, in the supermarket business, we have had an amazing run during this period because we're selling food and we're essential. Not all businesses were like this. Should it be a thing that you actually have to consider whether you're paying that money back that you got from the government? I think this is ridiculous, and anyone who has taken that money from JobKeeper and JobSeeker that isn't paying it back should have a good hard look at themselves. Vertical automated grocery shopping. UBX are planning to build a grocery store with an automated fulfillment system that reaches 45 meters high and can squeeze in sites of around 550 square meters. This could fit on the block of my house and is primarily serviced by a robotic system that travels horizontally and vertically along fixed tracks, with software that optimizes the picking path. It will focus primarily on e-commerce, and with the first store slated to open in Boston at the end of next year. Shoppers will be able to get their groceries within an hour through pickup and e-bike delivery. And there'll be a small shop front where customers can order using kiosks for robotic fulfillment within minutes. With an estimated build cost of between 5 and 7 million, UBX claims the savings from the rent costs as well as efficiencies in e-commerce fulfillment will pay off in the long term. Will these efficiencies and savings from this new way of shopping negate customer desire to touch and feel. Now, this is something we're asking ourselves all the time. There's no doubt, I've said it once, I'll say it again, Australia is very much lagging in online adoption in supermarket retailing. There's no doubt about that. And I believe that'll continue to be the case. I still believe that we live in an amazing country where people actually do want to come in, they do want to touch and feel, maybe not so much anymore, but they do want to touch and feel what's going on in the supermarket. And it's up to us as retailers to make the supermarket experience an enjoyable one and memorable for the consumer. Is this needed in Australia where we have vast amounts of space and air you can properly breathe? I don't think so. You may see this in some special areas like CBD in Sydney, but hey, let's wait and see what happens in CBD, because I believe that moving forward, the CBD is going to be a very different landscape than it is now. Now, it wouldn't be a retail wrap without talking about Easter. Have you ever wondered why it's a bunny rabbit that brings the Easter eggs? One version of the story is that a poor German woman who loved her children secretly hid bright-coloured eggs throughout the garden as an Easter treat. And then one year, while the children were hunting in the garden, they noticed a bunny rabbit hopping past them, and this delivered what was believed to be the Easter eggs. It's nice to keep the magic alive, although I feel kind of bad for the bunny that laid the 6K violet crumble egg this year. But my kids did tell me a joke that I thought was quite good. What music do the Easter bunnies listen to?
Hip hop, I hip it to the hip hip hop, you know?
I was devastated to learn of the passing of Villamos, aka Villy, earlier this week. He was the founder of the iconic SA company Villy's Family Bakery, maker of arguably the best pies in Australia, and I'll go one step saying the best party pies on the planet. Villy launched his continental bakery at the age of 18, having finished his apprenticeship as a pastry chef. In 1978, he expanded his range to include Australian pies with pasties, but with a difference. Traditional Aussie pies back in the day contained mutton, but Villy wanted better. And to this day, the Villy's pie still contains 100% Australian beef. The entire Villy's range is still made by hand and from scratch, from the butchers who cut up the meat to the mixing of the pastry, producing between 150,000 and 200,000 units a day. Dad first met Villy very early on in his career, and we're proud to stock Villy's product in our stores since Dad started opening supermarkets. Villy, coming to this country with nothing, you truly showed that anything is possible. You're a trailblazer, proud Australian, a proud family man, and you'll be very much missed.
Be committed, challenge, take it on. Don't back out halfway. To me, it's the worst mistake you're ever going to make, because you're going to sit back in your rocking chair one day and wonder, what if?
Yeah.
What if? I'll never wonder what if. I've always bloody well done it.
Vale Villy. So there you have it. Don't forget, plenty of Easter eggs out there, and make sure you keep the magic alive. Oh, my pupils just popped out of my eye when I yawned then. And that was full
Your
on.
eyes are still intact if you just want to know.
Oh my God. I'm surprised they're still there. I said, I actually can't believe, I actually can't believe that I actually have said actually quite a lot. What do we talk? Vertical shopping. Wow, this is new. Vertical shopping.
Sorry.
This is new. This is new. Vertical shopping. Now this is new. One year while children were hunting in the garden, they were fucking hunting. What were they, fucking killers?
Easter egg hunt.
They were shooting something.